at 3:55 p.m. this afternoon, Whitney Houston was pronounced at the Beverly Hilton Hotel.
Ray J ended up painted as either the easiest target in Hollywood or someone people believed was twisting the story to protect himself. More than a decade after Whitney Houston's heartbreaking passing, the details still feel blurred, and his version never fully lines up with the rumors people kept spreading. Some claimed he was her secret support system, her emotional safe place, even the reason she struggled, but none of that was ever confirmed. When the spotlight faded, the reports were filed, and the whispers started flying, something became obvious. The story about what happened to Whitney and the story people attached to Ray J were not the same at all.
There's a innocence with jumping to conclusion, and you can kind of see why. Obviously, there's similarities in names, but that was not you.
I was nowhere to be found.
Right.
And I hate talking about it because I got so much love for her. I've never seen her in that state.
Yeah.
They never, so to make me that person when I wasn't even there, and then to put on top of that, but I just solely just got away with it.
Folks jumped to conclusions fast, and sure, the similar names and connections confused people, but even investigators made it clear he wasn't responsible. Whitney Houston was discovered in her Beverly Hilton suite just one night before the Grammy Awards, a moment that stunned fans everywhere. The official findings ruled it an accidental drowning, with heart complications and certain substances listed as contributing factors, giving a clear explanation of what actually happened. Records show Ray J wasn't near that hotel. He was in San Diego on stage performing, getting ready to see Whitney at Clive Davis's pre-Grammy event the following night. But within hours, that solid alibi didn't matter anymore because the public conversation had already been flipped upside down. That same evening, Bobby Brown's sister Leola went on national TV and pointed straight at him, even though officials had not linked him to the situation at all. She went on Dr. Drew's show on HLN and claimed Ray J was Whitney's so-called runner boy, hinting that he was bringing things to her suite, even though none of that was backed by officials. That one statement spread across the internet fast, even though there was no report, no witness, no evidence, just a TV moment that flipped the whole story and turned a performer into a supposed villain overnight. Blogs and gossip pages grabbed onto the rumor that Ray J was seen leaving the Beverly Hilton even though nothing confirmed it. A blurry clip of somebody keeping their head down and avoiding cameras was enough for the public to decide he was guilty of something. And the narrative kept growing louder. We can track the whole smear wave almost minute by minute. TMZ pushed early segments hinting he might be tied to the situation. And then the National Enquirer ran a photo it claimed showed Whitney on a gurney, only for people to later learn it was actually her daughter Bobby Christina being taken out under a sheet. That mistake alone caused even more confusion. Independent vloggers jumped in and stitched together random lobby footage to make it look like Ray J was sneaking out secretly, even though the clips weren't even from that day. Within 2 days, his image was taking hits everywhere, and he hadn't said a single word publicly yet.
When I pull up, I got my shoes. I'm ready to go to the event. I just talked to her on the phone. This there no more. It's over. And Ray, who was her bodyguard, he found her, and he called me. CNN says Ray J found her. And then 10 minutes later, oh no, Ray her bodyguard. That shit's 10 minutes later, bro. You get what I'm saying?
But the public never heard the full timeline, the part where Ray J said he tried to reach Whitney that same day. In interviews, he explained he'd been on the phone with her hours before everything happened, saying he had just picked up his shoes and was getting ready for them to show up at Clive Davis's event together. When he finally made it to the hotel, everything had already unfolded and he was left in shock. I was nowhere to be found, and I hate talking about it because I have so much love for her, he later told the Funky Friday podcast. And even though his words came from the heart, they still left people wondering what really happened. People started asking a tough question. If Ray J was truly innocent, why did he wait so long to defend himself publicly?
And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobby Christina was present for some of that fight.
That doubt grew louder because Hollywood can turn real grief into a full-on spectacle faster than anyone can breathe. Right after Whitney's passing, Ray J went from being a regular entertainer to someone people treated like an outsider. Online crowds labeled him a dealer, a manipulator, and someone who took advantage of a legendary voice, even though none of that was ever confirmed by any official source. The image stuck, and for many viewers, the rumor became the truth simply because it sounded dramatic. But while the gossip swirled, some of Ray J's own past moments didn't help him shake the narrative. Less than a year before Whitney's tragedy, Ray J was detained in Las Vegas after getting into an altercation at a party hosted by Diddy. Witnesses described him as tense, unsettled, and emotional. And although he was released shortly after, people close to the scene claimed his behavior showed he was under serious stress. So when the tragedy happened in 2012, critics started connecting dots that didn't belong together. They blended old tension with fresh accusations and pushed a storyline that made him look unstable, even though law enforcement never tied him to the incident. Then, in 2024, after more than 10 years of silence, Ray J finally spoke with a different kind of honesty. Sitting with Pastor Jamal Bryant, he revealed that Whitney's memory didn't just make him emotional, he said it haunted him. That word hit people hard, and it made some raise their eyebrows, wondering why he described it like that. In the same conversation, he admitted that after losing her, he fell into using heavy substances for the first time in his life, saying, "I tried hard stuff after that happened," while explaining how he spiraled during those painful weeks. When the public heard that confession, they instantly split into two groups again. Some believed he was a man hurting under unfair accusations, and others thought he might be carrying more secrets than he ever shared.
The way they made that scene is so haunting to me. Here's why. I wasn't even there. I was nowhere around.
Where were you?
I was in San Diego doing a show.
Okay.
For the people who defend Ray J, the explanation feels straightforward. They see him as someone grieving, who ended up getting blamed during a painful moment when emotions were heavy and the media was hungry for a storyline. They point out that the autopsy never mentioned his name and that officials, including federal agencies, never reopened the case despite online pressure and petitions. Supporters also highlight that Whitney's circle at the time had different personalities around her, including individuals who became tied to rumors online, like Raffles Van Exel, a self-described Hollywood fixer who was accused by tabloids of leaking a picture during that tragic weekend. None of those claims ever connected Ray J to wrongdoing, yet the cloud around him kept sticking year after year. Every time Whitney's anniversary came around, the chatter returned. But skeptics still noticed something else. They pointed out that Ray J, now in his mid-40s, often found himself caught in new headlines that had nothing to do with Whitney. In a 2025 documentary discussing Diddy's legal controversy, he hinted that some celebrities were paying people to stay silent, saying, "Somebody pays you to keep it quiet," before suddenly stopping like he realized he shouldn't say more. To many viewers, that moment looked like someone who had seen things behind the scenes he didn't want to spell out directly. It made people wonder whether he carried more inside knowledge than he ever chose to reveal, not just about one situation, but maybe about several powerful figures in the entertainment world.
Look on all my comments.
Yes.
Every time I go live, anything, you hit me.
Okay.
That happens, and spam.
Now speak your truth on that.
Here's the truth. It's not my truth. It's just certain times when narratives are going to the moon, that's not true. Everybody has you have to go and you have to shut certain things down.
Right.
What makes the connection to Whitney feel so intense is how closely it sits next to the same world of private industry events and hidden conversations. Whitney's final weekend was packed with major executives and stars gathering for Clive Davis's annual gala, an event Diddy also attended, which created an atmosphere full of whispers and behind-the-scenes energy. Some insiders over the years have suggested that both Whitney and Ray J spent time in certain private after-hours spaces where entertainers relaxed, partied, and kept their reputations separate from their day-to-day public image. None of that confirmed anything harmful, but it kept the mystery alive. alive, and it kept people talking even years later. None of these rumors have ever been proven, but the timing, Whitney's struggle, Ray J's emotional crash, and Diddy's name resurfacing in recent legal drama keeps people talking even now. The real story might be less mysterious and more about the heavy psychological toll this whole situation took on him. In interviews through 2024 and early 2025, Ray J described waking up in cold sweats and replaying the image of that hotel room over and over in his mind. Friends have said he became focused on clearing his name, calling producers late at night asking for airtime, and warning bloggers not to twist the narrative around him. At the same time, his unpredictable online posts didn't help calm anything down. His cryptic messages about demons in Hollywood and his willingness to discuss explosive industry conversations, including Diddy-related topics, made people look at him with even more curiosity, like he was carrying something heavy he couldn't fully explain. Meanwhile, some people close to Whitney's family never fully let go of their doubts. Leola Brown said again in 2024 that she believes Whitney and Bobby Christina were both caught up in a long chain of exploitation, something that she feels started years before. In her version, Ray J was either someone caught inside that world or someone moving around it, depending on who you ask. The fact that both mother and daughter were found in bathtubs created an eerie similarity that kept theories alive, even though officials handled both situations separately.
I believe that there are several people that wanted Bobby Christina, but I think the purpose of her was to gain full access to Whitney Houston's estate.
And every time Ray J sits down for a new interview, instead of closing the conversation, he ends up adding more emotional moments and more confusing pieces to the timeline. At this point, the public has heard every angle. Either Ray J was an innocent person blamed during intense grief, or he was a small part of a complicated system that pushed Whitney until she couldn't take it anymore. What stays behind is a messy trail of half-told stories, an old Las Vegas altercation, a confession about being haunted, a timeline full of missing details, and a man still insisting he truly wasn't there when everything unfolded. Even after all these years, people still ask questions nobody has been willing to answer on the record. If Ray J truly wasn't there that night, then who moved in and out of that suite before the paramedics arrived? And if every other person tied to the moment has gone silent, why has no one else ever been held responsible or even questioned publicly? The story should have stopped with Whitney's official report, yet instead, it opened a new chapter around Ray J, one that followed him all the way into 2024. During a TMZ documentary called The Downfall of Diddy, Ray J made a comment that instantly sparked new whispers. He said some powerful entertainers were paying alleged victims to stay quiet, and even though it sounded like a quick, casual line, it dropped like a bomb because it widened the conversation beyond Diddy's situation. When people heard that, they started wondering, if hush money existed in one part of the industry, could it have been used in other situations too? Ray J's interviews often show his emotions clearly, his eyes shifting, his voice tightening, and then that moment where he just shuts down completely, just like he did on camera that day. "I don't even know why I just said it, but I said it," he muttered before going quiet. The timing of that line was wild, because only months earlier, he told fans online that he felt haunted by secrets that weren't his to reveal. That made some insiders think his comment about payoffs wasn't just a random slip. They saw it as someone under pressure, hinting at more than he could openly talk about. Maybe he was hinting at the night that shattered both his public image and his peace of mind. When you look at the actual record, Ray J was never listed in any official investigation into Whitney's passing, not once. But the silence around him still feels heavy, especially with industry insiders claiming he signed several NDAs after 2012 to protect the privacy of executives connected to that Beverly Hilton weekend. For more than 10 years, that meant he couldn't legally respond to rumors tying him to Whitney's final hours. And in Hollywood, silence doesn't always protect innocence. Sometimes it just traps a person in a story they can't escape.
Did you ever witness her doing
Whitney?
Yes.
I don't want to talk about that because then it's like, I can never, put it like this. I'm way younger, bro. she's in control, bro. She's Whitney. She's a boss. And so to make me the big dog, I'm not the big dog, bro. I'm the little I'm the little homie.
But can I preface this too, though?
By early 2025, that pressure cracked during a Twitch live stream where Ray J suddenly broke down and said, "I feel alone, like no one really saw me." It was emotional and raw, and viewers didn't know if he needed comfort or space. On the surface, he blamed cancel culture, but the pain behind his voice sounded deeper, like someone who felt erased. Meanwhile, Whitney's family continued shaping their own version of events. Pat Houston told Oprah that Whitney was looking for love in all the wrong places, and everyone knew she meant Ray J. But Pat also said Whitney was clean and focused in her final days, which confused people because the official report confirmed traces of certain substances in her system. Every road in the story kept circling back to the same familiar names, especially when Bobby Brown stepped in with a completely different take. He refused to believe substances played a role at all, saying she was just heartbroken, which left people wondering, heartbroken over what or who? If he was that sure the cause wasn't related to substances, many questioned why he didn't push harder for a deeper investigation into what truly happened in that hotel suite. Even inside the family, the versions never lined up. Leola Brown appeared on TV hours after the tragedy, calling Ray J a runner boy. Yet reports said she hadn't spoken to Whitney in over a year and wasn't even in Los Angeles that weekend. So why was her voice treated as credible? Some believe the media just needed a quick villain, and Ray J was the easiest target. Famous enough for headlines, but not powerful enough to fight back. The more people revisit that weekend, the shakier the timeline looks. Staff insiders at the Beverly Hilton claimed multiple visitors went in and out of Whitney's room during the 48 hours before the incident, including well-known names now under scrutiny in the Diddy conversation. One former security worker even said certain surveillance footage from those movements disappeared before officers arrived. If that claim is true, it suggests someone had access and a reason to remove anything that could start a bigger scandal, leaving Ray J as the only public figure exposed afterward. Looking back, the rush to blame him feels almost too quick, almost like a plan. Within hours, networks had clips ready, headlines loaded, and a full villain script pointed at him like it was waiting on standby. The speed of the media coverage never felt natural. It moved too fast, almost like the narrative was already locked in place before the news even broke. Some people wondered if Ray J's old reputation made him the easiest target, knowing the public would believe anything tied to his past, especially a viral moment that had followed him for years. By mid-2025, his emotional breakdowns became more frequent, and one confession shook viewers deeply. Ray J shared that right after Whitney's passing, he climbed onto the roof of a hotel in Cancun and stood at the edge for almost an hour, admitting, "I didn't want to be here." The confession dropped during a Twitch session and left fans stunned because it showed how trapped he felt by a story he couldn't outrun. This wasn't just heartbreak. This was a man feeling crushed by pressure, secrets, and a narrative he said he couldn't speak on without consequences. That's when the public's speculation took a darker turn. If hush money truly existed in the industry, like Ray J hinted, people questioned who was paying whom and why. Some noticed that a lot of the same managers, promoters, and security names showed up in both Whitney's circle and in later lawsuits tied to Diddy's situation, which made observers wonder if Ray J had stepped into something far bigger than a simple romance. Through all of this, Ray J tried to rebuild his life. Family businesses, interviews, podcasts, but every attempt seemed to flip against him. When he admitted he tried heavy substances for the first time after Whitney's passing, critics labeled it manipulation. When he said he still loved her, tabloids called it hypocrisy. And when he finally said he felt haunted, people claimed it was a confession. It was like the industry decided long ago that no matter what he said, his truth would never be enough. As the years passed, new theories kept popping up, each one wilder than the last. A private investigator even claimed there was video proving Whitney was targeted over unpaid debts, but officials never backed that claim. Still, the public imagination ran with it, and somehow Ray J ended up tied to stories he was never officially linked to. Even years later on the Funky Friday podcast, when he said, "I was not there. That's the biggest cap I've ever heard," people still doubted him. Once the public paints someone as the villain, innocence doesn't matter anymore. The label sticks. Now, with Diddy facing legal trouble and the entertainment world trying to clean up its image, Ray J's old comments hit different. His line, "Somebody pays you to keep it quiet," suddenly sounded less like gossip and more like someone who's seen the darker corners of the industry. If his silence was locked in by contracts before, maybe it isn't anymore. And if he really knows more about what happened that weekend, his fear might not be about headlines, it might be about staying safe. 12 years later, this story still refuses to sit still. Whitney's legacy lives forever, but the questions surrounding her final days keep circling, especially around Ray J. Every time he tries to explain himself, the mystery grows instead of fading. So here we are, still asking the same question. Was Ray J unfairly dragged into a narrative he couldn't escape? Or did he carry knowledge he never felt comfortable sharing? Because either he was trapped by lies or he was trapped by the truth, and both paths left him scarred. Now it's your turn. What do you believe? Was Ray J haunted by guilt or silenced by pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, smash subscribe, share this with someone who follows the story, and I'll see you in the next one.